My name is Rachel Baker. What I'm dealing with at the moment is I'm currently doing my PhD. I'm in the first 6 months at the School of Design Studies at COFA. Having a background in interior architecture, basically that's my field is looking at space. It's looking at interior space, but also the dialogue between interior space and exterior space. I'm probably not the average interior architect, where I've also got an interest in looking at object design as well, and exploring basically the qualities of objects or space, or bound to the realm of human experience, and how it is that meaning can be communicated and experienced through objects and spaces that we design. I started off in philosophy and psychology, and those interests in the biological basis of behaviour and how it is that scientists can start to prescribe specific behaviours in which we have within space was one thing that I found quite interesting. But through philosophy, and in particular phenomenology, it added like a whole different level of meaning to understanding this really beautiful relationship and intimate relationship that we as people have within space that can't necessarily be parcelled up into that scientific framework. So I think my philosophy kind of comes from looking at the messiness of human habitation and of human condition, and trying to understand like how it is that we inhabit space and what meanings and messages like those spaces can give us and can add to our embodied experience of life in general. One of the biggest difficulties that I faced was having to design a betting agency in Canberra, and which had a very rigid set of psychological constructs in which prescribed the actual design method in which they used to design these spaces. And their agenda was actually to use these principles to curb human behaviour, with the end goal that people would enter into these spaces, would spend as much money as possible, and would stay as long amount of time as possible within these spaces. And the difficulties that I had of coming from my background and being quite optimistic about the possibilities that design could have was being slapped in my face by saying, well, we know the rules, we know how to play the game, but let's use it for our advantage, and that end goal being consumerism, which I find really like disheartening and very soul-crushing as a designer. What was facing me, I think, was a common problem that I think when I speak to a lot of other designers, they face as well. Like, we're losing that insight of the role that design can play in enhancing people's lives or addressing fundamental human needs, and instead it's kind of looked at this luxury item or this commodity, or it's something that plays into consumerism, and it's hard to make these changes in a world that's kind of demanding that role of the designer as being something else than what the role of the designer could possibly be.